there. In our time together today, we're going to go through some movements that will really help you notice those connections through your lower abdominals. And we're going to be on the mat for the whole session, and we'll use our ball for this one. And if you don't have a ball, just fold up a towel and use that instead. So before we lay down and start our moves, let's just sit together. And before we begin, just take a couple of deep breaths together so that you can feel really present and ready to zone in and make those connections. So sit any way that feels comfy. You could sit with your legs crossed or just have your legs out in front. And I just want you to take a breath in through your nose and just feel the front of the chest rising with that air. Don't force anything. And then as you breathe out, just notice how your body moves as you take the breath out. Maybe the ribs soften down a little bit. And then the next time you breathe in, just think of breathing into the underarms. So sort of imagine the air going sideways in you, into the ribs, to the side. And then as you breathe out, notice how the ribs just move. Maybe they funnel in and down a little. Don't force anything. And then think about now breathing into the space between your shoulder blades, breathing into your upper back. So you might even feel a little roundness there. That's okay. Just notice how that can feel and then breathe out. Nice and smooth and easy breath. And then this time as you breathe in, think of that three-dimensional. So breathing, your chest might lift out to the side, even into the back. So there's this full expansion. And then just softly breathing out. Just notice how the ribs just funnel down ever so slightly. And your shoulders are nice and easy. Okay, first thing we're going to do, you don't need the ball for the first move. You just lay on your back. And we'll have our knees bent. Okay. So hip distance apart with your feet, hands either on your pelvis or on the floor beside you. And we're going to tilt the pelvis forward and back. I want you to think about the bones of your pelvis. So feel the weight of the back of the pelvis heavy on the mat. And then just think of bringing the pelvis towards you and then tipping it the other way. So we've done this move before. Think about making it drift. Start from the abdominals. The abdominals are helping the bones move toward you and then away. Don't worry about making the movement as big as you can. Just think about making it as nice and smooth as you can. And think about having your feet really light. And then I want you to think about your breath. So I'm breathing out when my lower back's near the mat, and then breathing in when I tip the other way, and my tailbone's tipping towards the mat. So exhale and inhale. You can breathe in and out through your nose. Keep coming back to making your feet feel light. I like to notice, I can feel all my toes on the ground. I notice my footprint on the ground, but I'm not pressing down. So I'm just keeping this light feeling, and that really stops me from pushing and pulling with my legs, because otherwise sometimes we want to squeeze our glutes or use the back of our legs to help this. But let's have it all driven from here. Think about that nice little stretch on the low back. And you don't need to ever over grip things when we do exercises where we focus on our abdominals. So sometimes if it does get harder, there'll be more energy required. But if it's a small movement, make it as easy as possible, because that's what we want to teach our body, to do it with as less effort as possible and good movement. So we're getting that little movement through the lower spine. And then come back to even. Then I want you to think about a side to side motion. So one hip bone tips toward the mat and then come back to even. Then the other hip bone tips down and back. When I do this one, I'm not pushing and pulling with my legs either, and I really feel my waist. What I want to do is the hip bone that rises up, naturally you might be the same. It feels like it wants to come up to that rib, but if I keep it long, I notice more effort in my side waist. So you could even put your hands on your hip bones as you go side to side. So my knees aren't moving around very much at all. And the hip bone that's rising up, I'm keeping it long. And then you might see, oh, one side drops down pretty well, and one side feels a bit sticky or is a little restricted. Just do a couple more on that sticky away. When my hip bone drops down, like when I do the tip, I breathe out. And if you'd like to understand this a little bit more, what you can do is there's a link below this video and you can click on that where I've shown a picture of my pelvis so you can get a sense of how small the move actually is and how it looks, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a diagonal movement. So think of the hip bones here at the front. One hip bone slides up and one goes down. So this way I get a little sort of gliding of the legs. I sort of glide a little forward and back. So I am pulling one hip bone up and one slides down. But again, the hip that's coming up, sometimes instead of going straight to the rib, it goes up to the ceiling. So I still want to keep my hips level this time. And so as the hip bone rises up, I'm not also tipping to the side. So if you think of a line from hip bone to hip bone, it's just this diagonal rather than diagonal and up, which is easy to do. So unless I really concentrate, I just go to what my body wants to do naturally. But this is encouraging all this really good movement in my low back, and I want to keep that range. So I need to focus to make this happen. So it doesn't happen automatically for me either. Okay, that will do. Now we're going to pick up our ball